Welcome to In the Boots Fantasy Football Podcast. You got none other than the man himself, your boy Juan Valley. Sitting across from me, as always, is none other than Brent O'Connor. Brent, I fucked up our last intro.
Yeah, you did.
I butchered
and
it.
I'm gonna need you to pep it up a little bit. You were a little down on this intro.
I was because I messed up, and I typically don't mess up on the intros because I just kind of like roll with the punches, and whatever I think of on the fly, I just say.
Oh, I know.
And we never know what that's going to be. Never. I don't even know. It's a surprise to me. But I messed up the last one, and I just came to this one kind of down. So sorry.
Let's go. Let's get it pumped up. Let's get this show on the road.
Let's do it. All right, folks. If you haven't already listened to our podcast we dropped yesterday, go to your favorite podcast listening device, YouTube, whatever it may be. Search for our podcast yesterday. We talked a lot about kind of like end of the year awards, who we thought is breakout star of the year, offensive player of the year, and we're posting questions to our Twitter. So head over to our Twitter in the booth FF, and each day we'll be releasing a new poll. Vote for it and let us know. And then our next podcast, we're going to be talking about the results and how close we think our opinions are to yours. And honestly, I think you guys are going to agree with me more than Brent.
Sure. After that podcast, I was thinking would be fun.
What?
Instead of doing like your run of the mill, MVP, breakout or whatever. Do like you remember when you were in high school and you had like senior superlatives?
Yeah.
You had like most likely to take home to mom or whatever, or most likely to be successful or something. Make up superlatives for each.
You
category.
just want to go out there. Who has the cutest eyes? Don't you, Brent? Don't you?
Actually, I was thinking more like cats, since we can see their legs more. We can't really see their eyes too well, especially this year. Did you notice how many players were wearing visors this year?
More than normal.
Yeah.
I thought you were going with, and the first thing I thought of was who had the coolest cleats.
That actually would be fun.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Like when they do the My Cause.
Yeah.
That would be. There are some pretty neat ones. I got stuck scrolling through Twitter for a little while.
I did too. I liked them a lot. All right, so this episode we're going to talk about headlines. We're going to keep it generic this week because we're still in the midst of coming out of the regular season, going into the playoffs. But in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about headlines that kind of like transformed this season. We're going to kind of keep it simple this week, and let's just get right into it. First one, coaching vacancies. We got Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Jets, Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions, LA Chargers, Houston Texans. All open.
Yeah.
Do you think any of these teams hire internally, or do you think they go externally?
I think that all of them, the Texans. Yeah, I think all of them are going to be external.
Okay. Now let me pose this question to you. Who do you think is the hottest prospect out there right now?
Name to be hired?
Yes. Like all these teams are going at the pool is limited in a sense. Who is out of those 7 teams? Who's everybody gunning for?
Who's
the number one pick?
For me, I like Eric Bieniemy and Robert Saleh. And like, I would probably choose Robert Saleh because he has this demeanor about him that he's just like a take no shit kind of guy, and I feel like that's the kind of guy I want leading my team. Okay,
I like that. What team? First off, where do you think he fits in best out of those teams?
That's a good one too. So he's a defensive coordinator, so he's going to have his hands in the defense. I would say probably the Falcons or the Chargers. Maybe the Texans. So the reason I say that is because they have established quarterbacks and you know what that offense is going to be. So that's kind of what my thought process is there.
I like that. I would have went with Falcons or Lions. Those two out of the teams listed here, they're hurting the most on the defensive side. And yes, Stafford and Ryan are kind of towards the end of their career or end of their tenure. Well, Ryan isn't going anywhere. Stafford is the questionable one. So yes, on the offensive side, it's kind of questionable. But I think each team lacks in the defense, and he would be a great fit for either one of those two teams.
I think if you're going to say the worst defense out of this group, I think I'd say the Texans or the Lions. The Texans are atrocious.
I think we already established the Lions with a -5 fantasy points.
yeah, that was that.
I didn't know that was even possible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
All right, so Eric, where do you think he lands?
Oh, Bieniemy? I thought you were calling me Eric for a second. I was like,
yes, where do you land on the coaching? Which teams are calling you?
You know, my phone's just blowing up. I just can't keep them away. Eric Bieniemy, man, I would love to see him with Deshaun Watson.
Why is that?
Just because I feel like he's done so well with, and that's, I guess that's the tough part with having Andy Reid as the head coach. You don't know how much of the development Andy Reid has had, or how much it was Eric Bieniemy. But and this is based off of rumors and things you hear around the rumor mill for the league. But they say that Eric Bieniemy is great with the quarterbacks and the offensive strategy. And I think that you have Deshaun Watson, who's such a dynamic player and can do so many different things. I think it'd be fun to have somebody that can be creative with him.
Okay. Let me throw this one out to you. Out of these teams listed, which team do you think is going to go out into left field and pick somebody that's not on everybody's top radar?
Marvin Lewis.
Possibility.
And actually, I've been listening to some people talk about these coaching vacancies, and there are some points to why to bring in Marvin Lewis. If you think about it, he took a team that was strapped financially always, was not known for winning, took them to the playoffs 5 straight years, and you see what has happened since he's left.
Right.
You know, so there are some valid points as to why he could potentially or does deserve another chance somewhere else. But you said who do I think would take a swing on a random?
Yep.
Man, that's hard to say. I guess it's hard to say because you have GMs that are going to be coming into these places who are going to have established relationships already with coaches and have preferences. And without knowing who the GM is, it's hard to say who the coach might be.
It's just totally hypothetical.
I'd say, let's just say that the Jaguars then.
That's my say because that's what I was leaning towards.
Yeah. I hope that they are, and I hope they hit like Matt Rule. So Matt Rule went to Carolina this year and he came out from the college ranks, and it's always a kind of a crapshoot as to what head coach from the college ranks is going to be successful in the NFL. And I kind of hope that
Jim Harbaugh, he's coming from Michigan.
yeah. I kind of hope that they go into try to get somebody from the college ranks and have somebody that's creative with Trevor Lawrence. Well, I assume that they're taking Trevor Lawrence.
I was only going to go with the Jaguars, and this is totally out of left field, but the Khan family owns it.
They're going to get somebody from England?
No. They just successfully launched AEW, the wrestling. And within wrestling world, there's a lot of, promo type guys, a bunch of loud guys to kind of sell the show. Maybe they go like a coach like that.
I hope that would be
give it a shot.
terrible. That would be terrible.
But wouldn't that be the storyline of the year?
Jim Harbaugh would be one of those guys.
Do you think Urban Meyer comes back?
I think he has interest, and I think money talks.
Yes.
I think that's essentially what it was with Ohio State when he retired from Florida.
But do you think, and this is a question I always struggle with, like even with John Gruden coming back, do you think you would want to potentially risk your legacy?
And I think that there's two parts to it. I think that he's not going to risk his legacy, and he wants to be paid handsomely.
Okay, so basically he doesn't want to risk his legacy. So based off the teams we listed, which team has the best potential for a winning future?
Chargers.
Yeah, I agree. Or I would even go with the Texans because of Watson's, Cooks, Fuller.
And honestly, so I say that as looking at their existing team, but if you look at the Jaguars' finances and their drafts cash.
Yep.
Cachet. How do we pronounce it? Cachet, is that right? Or is cash?
Cash.
Okay.
Well, it depends on what form you're talking about.
CACHE.
Cash or cash.
Okay. All right. Did you not just say the same word twice? But they have some nice picks the next couple years.
They do.
So if there's a team or if there's an owner that will give a GM and a coach some time to develop their players, that could be attractive. And I think Urban Meyer could be a guy that could do that.
Yes, you're right. I feel like they're kind of the ownership is kind of lenient in that aspect. But I do like James Robinson, DJ Shark. They got there.
Laviska Shenault.
Tyler Eifert.
Tyler Eifert. He'll be retired in a couple years.
He will, but he has a special place in my heart. So I mean, they got not a bad lineup at all
on offense, and you figure Trevor Lawrence is going to be there.
Yeah, potentially if they end up going that route.
I mean, if they don't, I think they're idiots.
Yeah, but with the research that is done, I don't know. Maybe I'm not really sold on the kid. Granted, I'm a huge Ohio State. I'm a Ohio State.
You think Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence?
I didn't say that. I just said just because he played for Clemson, I don't like him. But I do like Justin Fields though. Justin Fields reminds me of the next Lamar Jackson.
I think I would put him more in the range of like Deshaun Watson. I think he makes much better throws than
fair enough
than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
but he needs time. That's his kicker is that.
He backs up.
He takes more time than he takes 3 point something seconds for the ball to come out of his hand, and in the NFL, that's no bueno.
That's fine. You can work with that.
And then that's the kicker is they're gonna have to speed up his clock.
Yeah, that's something to work on.
But that's where I think that he could be like Deshaun Watson, extend plays.
Yeah,
and make that work.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so that's what's going on with the coaching vacancies across the league. Let's talk about another coaching question. What happened in Philly? Benching Hurts? Wow. First, let me ask you this. Do you think that was done intentionally?
I mean, obviously it was intentional. It's just what intention was there.
Yes, and you know what I'm alluding to with that.
Yeah. I think he was tanking. Man, I don't know. I think that there's no legitimate reason to take Hurts out at that point. And there's no legitimate reason to say that you thought that Nate Sudfeld was going to be the better choice.
Right.
Yeah, no good. Like that's no. I think that, but I also think that, you're splitting hairs if you're calling that tanking but not calling, not saying that that's wrong, rather, and saying that other teams resting players because they made the playoffs isn't wrong. I think that if you're going to call one wrong, the other one's wrong.
How?
Because other teams could be resting players against teams that are trying to make the playoffs, and you're changing the landscape of that team's playoff possibility. So you're essentially throwing a game.
Okay. You do know the schedules are made before the season starts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so teams don't know what the end of the season is going to be like.
Correct.
So you're not changing the landscape because by the time you get to week 16 or week 17, if you're a team that's 1 or 2, you then have the option of sitting your players. Hence, you're 1 and 2. So you worked hard for the previous 15 weeks to get to that position to decide to sit your players. That's on the coaching and the team.
But you can do that any week. You could decide that any week. So
you could, but doing that prior to the first 15 weeks, you're gambling that you're saying,
yeah,
hey,
absolutely,
I'm going to win the rest of these games out.
Right. I agree.
Whereas,
it's still throwing a game. That's where
it's not though.
Yeah, you are.
No, you're not,
because you're sitting your players. That's the whole thing with the NBA. That's where the whole problem came up when teams started resting players and giving them a rest day, because it's changing. You're not playing to your team's capability, and it can be construed as a way of throwing a game. And that's the whole thing about it is, okay, so you're saying that they have the option, right? You have the option every week if you want to.
So you're telling me then that, all right, I'm going to start Patrick Mahomes week 17. This is a full contact sport. This isn't basketball. So I don't know. Let's take a look at Joe Burrow. So you're gonna be willing to risk your 10-year, $500 million contract just because you don't want to, I don't know, bench your star player and throw a game.
But okay, so when did Joe Burrow get hurt?
Your outcome.
It didn't matter what week it was.
Yes,
right?
it does. If it was week 17,
Why?
if it was week 17, it would matter.
Why? Why does it matter only in week 17? That's my argument. That's the thing.
Because there's nothing to gain for the Chiefs.
For that
nothing
team,
to gain.
But it affects other things.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
I'm not playing. It does
matter.
If I'm Andy Reid and Kansas City Chiefs, I don't care who makes it to the playoffs.
So then why the fuck does it matter if he sat Jalen Hurts or not? It doesn't, because it didn't affect anybody else, right? It doesn't fucking matter except for the Eagles.
Well, time out. We got way off topic. I was arguing a different point, talking specifically about Philly. Yeah, I don't know why he did that.
But if we're arguing about the team should be able to rest them because they got to wherever they wanted to be, right? Well, Philly is where they are, and if they're comfortable with that and they don't give a fuck, then why does it matter?
I didn't say it mattered for Philly's situation.
So, but everybody else is.
I think the question on everybody else is, did they do that intentionally to lose in order to gain a better pick?
Even if they did, does it matter?
I don't think so. That's on them.
I mean, let's talk.
But I wasn't arguing that point.
If we're gonna say that also, then let's look at fucking Jacksonville, because you can't tell me that Jake Luton is a better quarterback than Gardner Minshew. I like Gardner. I just like his personality. He's not going persona. I think that
I like Gardner for that reason.
I think that he was their best quarterback and their best option to win. But they were starting two quarterbacks that
it could have been. But we also don't know what's going on inside the locker room. Maybe there's something we don't know about.
So sure, then we can put the speculation on Philly. You don't know what's going on inside their locker room.
We don't, and I'm also not disagreeing with you on Philly.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with you on that one.
All right.
But from the outside perspective, looking on Philly, if we're going to critique them, as we saw what Jalen Hurts did on the bench after he was, when he learned that he was no longer starting, I think you mimicked what the hell or something along those lines.
Yeah. I think
if you're benching him for, obviously he wasn't aware of what was going on, so you're creating potential drama and hardship in the locker room, unless afterwards the coach came up to him and clearly said, this is why we're doing it. But in the heat of the moment, it didn't look like that. And I'm hoping the coach did that afterwards. Like, hey, we're kind of tanking on purpose so we get a better draft pick.
And so that's I don't know that that's what, to me, it doesn't make sense either way. Like, maybe they would have won, but they weren't doing that good in the first place.
Right.
And to me, if I was a head coach, if I'm considering, here's the kicker to me and for the future, if I'm considering Jalen Hurts to be my starter for the future, I'm going to keep him in there so I can evaluate him as much as I can.
I would have too.
And that's where I don't understand. And where
but maybe they were evaluating Nate.
For what? To see if he was going to make the practice squad next year?
Hey, their practice squad here is a good team. Better than the Bengals.
But it makes me wonder, is that a signal that they're not going to give Jalen Hurts the opportunity to be the starter next year?
Could be. And then so the question now lies, does Wentz stay?
Who did they draft?
Who do they draft? Does Wentz stay? And if Wentz does stay, who starts?
Right. And that's where I think that they are in a tough position with Carson Wentz's contract.
Yeah. We could have another. What if Jalen Hurts comes out to be like Haskins? And
I don't think that's going to happen, but
you never know.
Yeah.
Nobody thought it was going to happen to him either. After his first year,
there were several things about his character, red flags about his character, even when he was in college.
There was.
Where I don't think that that's ever been the case with Jalen Hurts.
I don't think so either. All right, moving along.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Derrick Henry. Do you think he's going to produce the same high levels going into the...
I think that...
going into the future. And can I start with this real quick? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think we kind of, in our league at least, I don't know if we... well, obviously we didn't have the podcast last year. But at least in our league, we were always tossing around Derrick Henry, at least specifically Hacker was trying to trade him. And he kept trying to trade Henry to me. And I was like, I do not think Henry's going to produce because he had a phenomenal year last year. I swore up and down that Henry is not going to be able to replicate that this year. And I thought that was kind of a fluke. He's a bigger guy, putting a lot of damage
wear
into
on the tires.
Yeah, wear and tear. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't think there's no way possible he's going to be able to come close to last year or even beat last year. But god dang, I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked. And I don't like, so I know it's a stupid bias, but I am not a very big backer of Alabama running backs. Sorry, just not.
How dare you?
They get the best offensive line and the best offensive scheme generally of all of college football. So yeah, they're gonna freaking produce. But just looking at his numbers, the past two seasons, he's had over 300 carries. That's a lot of freaking carries for one running back.
It is.
So, and he almost hit 400 this year. He was at 378 this year. He hit 2,000 yards. I don't see it happening again. He's 26, so next year he'll be 27.
He just signed a contract last year, right? Or is it this year?
This was his first. So this was his first year on this contract. Wow. I don't see it happening again. I'm glad that he was able to reproduce.
You mean exceed?
Produce again, I guess. But I really don't see that happening again. I didn't see it happening this year, but I definitely, after seeing his carry total go up that high, like that's a lot of carries on one, and he's going into the playoffs, so he's gonna hit 400 carries this year. Like I guarantee it.
Yeah, he had 303 last year.
Yeah. So. And he probably was close to 400 because he played 3 playoff games last year.
Yeah. What's that saying? I'm gonna eat what I sowed.
Reap what you sow.
No, but what's like you? Isn't there saying something like, "I'm gonna eat my words"?
Yeah.
Or something, but like a better saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna eat my words, and I'm gonna say Henry has another phenomenal year next year.
Really?
Yes. AJ Brown's picking up.
Which is a reason I think he reduces his production.
It could be. He might not get to 2,000 yards, but I think he's going to be utilized more. Because now that their passing game is opening up, it's going to give him more opportunities to break out.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to go with that this year.
I think that before next... So he played in all 16 games this year. I'm going to say that he doesn't play in more than 13 next year.
Sir, that's... unless there's an injury involved somewhere.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't see that being the case.
I know.
He's a stud.
He's a big dude. But that's a lot of freaking carries.
It is. Yeah, definitely. But I think he's gonna still be good next year. So if you have the opportunity to pick him up in your league, do it. I missed out this year. I feel like an idiot because of that, and I regret it. But if you have the chance, do it. All right, moving along. Honestly, we should have just nixed that story, and we should just call this like the quarterback week, because the rest of our topics are going to be centered around quarterbacks
mostly.
So who's the QB? It's the French now. Who's the quarterback? That was my terrible French.
That was terrible.
5 teams: Indy, Philly, Detroit, Jets, 49ers. First, Indy. This kind of ties into a conversation we're going to have later, but does Rivers stay, or does he retire, or does he get traded?
I think he wants to play. I think he wants to play real bad. He's got to support those 25 kids that he has. He's trying to make as much money as he can. But no, in all seriousness, I think that he really loves the game of football and he doesn't want to walk away. But his arm, man, it looked like he was shot putting some of those passes that he threw. They were so ugly. I think he's one of the guys that like I enjoy watching, but I always get nervous when it gets down to like a tight game and it's the fourth quarter and he's like trying to make a drive and he throws an interception. I'm just waiting for it to happen. But I hope for the sake of the franchise, I hope he retires.
I'm with you. I want to see Indy go in a different direction. They've built up a great offense past couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he's going to be a monster.
He is. I don't think Rivers is the quarterback of the future for the team, obviously, because of age. But with his knowledge, honestly, I think Rivers should go into the coaching aspect of it. Since he loves the game so much, I think he'd be a great fit there. Maybe a QB coach.
I think that for guys that love the game that much, it's hard for them to go straight into coaching.
Oh yeah, he'll probably take some time off for sure. With the family, especially with all those kids.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard for them to be on the sidelines, but not be in the game.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
What about Philly? Well, we kind of touched base on that already.
In Philly, I hope it's either Wentz or Hurts. I would like to see Wentz rebound. I don't know that it happens. I feel like he has like a case of the yips. Like he's it's like he just gets scared and holds onto the ball. And maybe he breaks out of that. I hope he does. But if not him, I would like to see Jalen Hurts get back there and I think it could help Miles Sanders. I think that Jalen Hurts could be a really good running back. And that their offensive line was decimated this year with injuries. Mm-hmm. So to see them with a healthy offensive line, I think it'd be really intriguing.
I personally would rather see Hurts in there.
Yeah.
Get rid of Wentz.
I mean, I understand that based on what Wentz did this year, but I hate like all the potential that you saw his second season, I think, and then it just disappear. Mm-hmm. Like it's so saddening, I guess.
I was never high on the guy, anyways.
I think it was he came out the same year as Goff, right? Him and Goff. 1-2?
I believe so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I liked Wentz a lot better. Goff kind of reminds me of like a pretty boy who's afraid to get hit and just...
Well, but he's perfect out there in
finesse. LA. And Wentz was like kind of grittier and would do the dirty work to if it was third and 6 and there was nobody open, he was going to get that first down by taking off and running.
Right.
But
all right. What about Detroit?
What pick do they have? Do you know?
I was getting looked it up myself because I am not sure.
I think that they do not have Matt Stafford as a quarterback next year.
Because of them trading him or him.
They're going to have to trade him or cut him.
Why not bench him?
I think he's a good enough quarterback.
Yeah, it would be stupid. I was just asking. They get the 7th overall pick.
Yeah, I think they draft a quarterback. I think they either move up a couple spots and draft Zach Wilson, or they draft Trey Lance.
Or Trevor Lawrence.
No.
He's dropping.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Todd McShay's first mock draft, I think, came out today. He had Justin Fields dropping all the way to 15.
Wow.
So part of me wonders like if that's like him hoping that the Patriots pick him or that the Patriots move up to pick him.
I did hear that rumor of the Patriots trying to move up.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely see on that one. Yeah. On this one, they have Fields going 3rd.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think Fields actually. I think he'll go 2. They got Zach Wilson going 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I after the semifinal game against Clemson, I think that Justin Fields stated or made his case to be the number 2 pick.
Okay, let's talk about the Jets.
The Jets. I think it's going to be just Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
I think Justin Fields will be that number 2 overall pick, and I think that I don't know that he's going to be great his first year. I think that he has to speed up his internal clock and get the ball out a little bit quicker if he wants to be successful in the NFL.
So you don't think they're going to stick with Sam Darnold?
Absolutely not.
You don't think so?
No, I think he gets traded this year.
I think he stays. Honestly, it really depends on the head coach.
Fair. I think that it would be better for him and the incoming quarterback if he's not there, because he was the number 2 or number 3 pick when he came out. So they've got a lot invested in him, and for an incoming quarterback to have that looming over him, I wouldn't want that playing with my new quarterback's head.
Yeah, but I also feel like a lot of analysts and NFL insiders have come out and said that Sam, he has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback. The situation he was presented was not the best. So a lot of people are riding high on him.
Yes.
So maybe the incoming head coach might be one of those insiders.
Some people, yes, I think don't want to change their view and admit their mistakes. And in the right scheme, he may be better than what he was in New York, but he still made a lot of bad throws. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. some of his throws were phenomenal, but then some of his throws were fucking terrible.
But that could also be attributed to the offensive line.
But even when there was a clean pocket, he still made bad throws.
Even your boy, Ty McShay, has them going for Sewell.
Yeah, Ty McShay was... Yeah, I don't think that happens.
Hey.
They picked Mekhi Becton. He's there, and he actually had a great season. I don't think that they're going to move him after having that kind of a season.
They're going to be interesting to see. All right, what about the 49ers?
The 49ers, I think that is where either... I think there's three options. I think they either move up in the draft and take a quarterback. They trade for Matt Stafford, or they trade for Sam Darnold.
I would love to see Stafford go out there. I would love to see that.
A lot of people say that, and I actually would love to see Sam Darnold go out there.
Either one, honestly, I feel like that's what the 49ers should. They should pick one of those two up. Don't waste the draft pick on a quarterback this year, because you can bench Jimmy. So if either Sam or Matt doesn't do as well as projected, always go back to your fall guy, Jimmy, and then next year use a pick on your quarterback.
Fair.
I think that's the option to go, because I feel like Sam, you have a ton of years ahead of him.
Yeah.
Matt, you still have at least a good 5 years ahead of him, if not a bit more. Of course, he's been more injury ridden than some of the more tenured quarterbacks.
That's my fear with Mafford Sat.
Who?
Mafford Sat.
Oh, I thought you were trying to combine Matt Stafford there, like I did.
I did. Mafford Sat. I think that's my fear with him, is that he's not as old as like Ben Roethlisberger or a lot of the quarterbacks that you think about as old, but he's had some shoulder injuries that worry me as he advances in his career.
Oh, absolutely. All right, moving along here. When is Joe Burrow able to return? Do you think upon his return, the injuries that he suffered will be career altering?
Okay, first question. I saw a report today that he says that he will be back by the beginning of the season. If that happens, I will be astounded. I will be shocked. I'll be elated because I have him in my league as a keeper. But man, that's a quick turnaround for how gruesome his injury was. And maybe it wasn't as bad of a tear as it looked.
Right.
But yeah, I figured he wouldn't be back till week 3 or 4, and then it's going to take him a couple weeks to get back in the groove of things. But if he's back by the beginning of the year, then great. And then is it a career altering? I don't know that it's career altering. He may. Here's the thing with that injury is that it wasn't caused by him rolling out or trying to extend the play or take off and run. So I don't know that he hesitates doing that unless he has like pain or whatever. And I think that he has the mental fortitude to not let it affect him when he's in the pocket. He's just that we were talking about moxie and poise. He's that guy that just has that poise, that don't give a shit attitude that's going to get it done. So I don't know. I don't think that it affects his career very much.
I want to agree with you on that one. I do. But just because it's my beloved Bengals, I feel like everything that would go right for any other team goes wrong for the Bengals. So that leaves me afraid. But I do hope that because he has that moxie, that grit, that he comes back in here day 1, week 1, and says, I'm back, bitches. y'all fucked up. That's what I'm hoping. What's your call it? Quarterback for Washington. A name's eluding me at the moment.
Alex Smith?
Yes, Alex Smith. He was able to come back from his even more horrendous injuries, and it doesn't seem to have affected him to the point I thought it would.
Yeah, and he's another guy that has always stayed poised and shown that grittiness even when he's been in bad situations. I mean, you look back at his career, and shit, he got dealt some raw deal when he was in San Francisco.
Yes.
At one point, I think that he had 4 or 5. It was either 4 offensive coordinators in 3 years or 5 offensive coordinators in 4 years. Man.
Not good.
Yeah. But also, on a side note, real quick, this has nothing to do with this actual podcast, but I have this idea. If we ever want to go with a clean podcast, I think that it would be hilarious if we inserted, like, every time we curse, use a curse word, like when you're editing or I know you don't edit really, but if you did, insert like candy bars, like if we said, like you said, I'm back, bitches, y'all done fucked up. If you said like, I'm back, Butterfingers.
Anyways,
come on, that would not be funny.
Sorry to waste your time, listeners. Does Dak stay in Dallas?
I think that'd be hilarious. Does Dak stay in Dallas? Yes. I think ultimately he stays there. I think for the fan base, and for the team. I mean, you saw what the team was doing when he was before his injury this year. They were freaking killing it.
Yep.
I think there's no way you can not bring him back.
I agree 100% with that. And if Andy Dalton was able to do a resemblance of anything, he kind of had a push there towards the end.
Yeah.
But if they were able to go into the playoffs and post up more wins that they did, I think that would have been bad news written all over for Dax because obviously Jerry doesn't want to pay him the money. But now, given what they accomplished the rest of the season, I feel like Jerry knows Dax brings it to Dallas, to the team, to AT&T Stadium every Sunday, and shows them why he is worth every single penny. So I think Jerry's going to pay him.
I agree, and I think it's going to be tough because they've got some bad contracts there.
Yep.
But I think that they definitely pay him. You know who could be traded is Amari Cooper.
We could be. But I think that was part of the reason why they were doing so good in the first 2 games with Dak.
Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I agree.
So it'd be it'd be a tough call, but I definitely think he stays there in Dallas, and I think that's good for not only Dak, of course. Mm-hmm. I feel like he loves Dallas, loves the Cowboys. But I think that's just whole good for the state of Texas.
I agree, and a player that really was affected by Dak not being there. That I don't think the fantasy world attributes it to Dak's injury and what he did for Zeke.
Oh,
but
tremendous!
I mean, Zeke's season plummeted once Dak was out.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you. It showed me at least, and it opened my eyes. I was not a big fan of the rookies coming in or the younger players kind of showing that leadership capabilities without putting their time into the league.
Oh, you're one of them.
Dak really opened my eyes to that. Look, you can. There's people born with leadership capabilities. Usually, it's not shown at that early of an age. Mm-hmm. Totally turned my eyes. Totally turned me around to that idea that if you have what it takes to be a leader, Dak is that guy, and he showed it.
That's kind of how Russell Wilson was the same way.
You're absolutely right. Now looking back at it with his career, he was that guy. All right, Patriots. Do they rebound, and what are they doing there with the quarterback situation?
Man, I don't know. I think they're kind of in the no man's land as far as quarterback goes. A quarterback that is kind of got a head of steam with this season and how well he did is Mac Jones from Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I think that he would be, because I think that the other four quarterbacks are going to be gone, already picked by the time the Patriots are on the clock. And the Patriots just don't like to move up very much, at least not in the first round. Unless they trade for somebody like a Matt Stafford or a Sam Darnold or a Carson Wentz, somebody, Jimmy Garoppolo, which would be interesting to bring Jimmy Garoppolo back. But unless they make a move in that regard, I don't know that they draft anybody unless it's like Mac Jones. But they have so many needs on that team. If you draft a quarterback, and yeah, they have a decent offensive line, but what impact skill players do they have? I mean, Jacoby Myers. I mean, you can't depend on him as a number one receiver.
I'm gonna toss this out to you. Where was it? Oh, hold on 1 second here.
Oh, that was helpful.
I actually did the wrong thing here. And so the quarterbacks here, I thought this was very interesting. I had to do some quick research on this because I couldn't remember. But, all right. So, where are we at? Where are we at? All right. A fifth quarterback. Only once in the common draft era have 5 quarterbacks been drafted in the first 21 picks. The last year was 1999. Can you name the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted?
Tell me one that was in that draft class.
I'll give you the biggest name out of that draft class. Donovan McNabb.
Dante Culpepper?
Yep. And by the way, those 2 are the only ones who did anything at the 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Guess that's why they were easy. Do you know them well enough to know what colleges they went to?
One of them was Kentucky.
Kentucky. Oh, Tim Couch.
Yep. Oregon.
Achilles Smith.
Yep. And fifth and last is UCLA.
UCLA. Cade McNown.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. I'm shocked. Yeah. So obviously, besides Donovan and Dante, nothing happened. So now that
Cade McNown had a nice career as a backup.
Sure.
He had like a 15, 16-year career as a backup.
Hey, he pays the bills.
That's right.
So now that leaves the question: does Mac Jones perform?
I mean, if you're saying that, the first, I mean, I don't, where was Cade McNown drafted? Was he the 5th one drafted?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first 2 were the ones that were the worst.
No.
Yeah, Achilles Smith and Tim Couch.
No. I went Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb.
Oh, and then Achilles Smith was okay. Yeah.
But that doesn't count because the Bengals picked them, and Bengals just have terrible picks. We could have picked Donovan McNabb and blew him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's what they're into.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, nope. So I'm going back watching the rest of Development. You ever watch that show?
No. Nope.
Oh, well, you won't get
sorry. I totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, Tim Couch. It's hard to say who will hit and who won't. You know, Mac Jones could be the one that hits.
Clearly, obviously, it's the whole point of gambling on your draft pick,
right?
But just tossing it out there. I think the Patriots draft up and somehow end up with Justin Fields. I think that's
interesting. I think that I actually think that I don't know. I think that Mac Jones could. So Mac Jones performed better than Tua with fewer fewer, what's the word? Like all the guys that were there.
Fewer fans in the stadium?
No, fewer players, impact players. So you'll think about it. Tua had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, had All 4 of those guys.
What's it called? I had Devontae Smith.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one pretty much out of those 4. Jalen Waddle was there for like 2 or 3 games.
But Devontae Smith was that good of a player that he's also the first wide receiver since 1991 to win the Heisman.
Yes, correct. And actually, I would argue that Desmond Howard didn't really win that as a wide receiver. He won it as a returner. But semantics.
So it's even better then.
Well, I agree. So that's the thing about Devonta Smith is he had a phenomenal year.
So maybe Devontae Smith.
But if you look at the way that good. I think it was vice versa. I think it was tit for tat. Both of them made each other look that good, and that offense just like skyrocketed as how efficient and how well it ran.
I guess we'll find out Monday when they lose to the Buckeyes.
Oh, let's be real.
Then that'd be interesting. What the Patriots do, what Bill Belichick is able to manage, because honestly, it's going to come down to what they pick.
That's the other thing is, does he retire? He's 69 years old.
No, he's not going to retire.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I think he's got another 4 years in him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I read something, but I can't remember it now. The only thing I remember was Belichick is the only coach in the league where he can do something crazy that no other coach can do because he is such a tenured winning coach.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I can't remember what they said he should do that was crazy or out of the box.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. All right.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I know, right? To round this out, today's podcast, of course, sticking to our quarterback theme. Let's just stick to the quarterback theme because we've probably been done that this whole show. Let's talk about 4 guys that are on the cusp of retirement. Rivers, we already talked about. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. What do you think happens?
I think that at least one retires, maybe 2.
I am guessing one is Rivers.
Yeah.
Brady doesn't retire.
Nope.
Roethlisberger.
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I think if they win the Super Bowl, I could see him retiring.
No. He's a man of his word, and he's going to write out at least a 2-year contract.
Okay.
Then I'm guessing your other one would probably be Breeze.
I don't know. I could see Roethlisberger retiring.
Really?
Again, did you see him throwing those passes? Again, more shot puts. Well, that's the thing. Breeze and Roethlisberger both were throwing shot puts.
I feel like Ben's going to stick around for at least 1 or 2 years. Who's their backup?
Mason Rudolph. I think that they could.
Yeah, that's right, Rudolph. Yep.
They're a team that could trade for somebody.
Good. They would probably tank next year and then get somebody for the following year in quarterback.
Could be.
Not tank, but not do as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like it.
It's interesting. I think that there's going to be. I think that there's a potential for a lot of movement this year.
Yes, there is. Not only with, obviously we talked at the beginning of the podcast, head coach situation.
Right.
There's 7 teams that are looking for
6.
Yeah, 6. I don't know why I kept saying 7. 6 teams. Somebody's getting fired. I'm foreseeing it.
Well, yeah, I think maybe you were so hopeful that Zach Taylor would get fired.
Yeah, so 6 teams look for head coaches. We're looking at least 5 teams that are looking for quarterbacks or in need of quarterbacks. It's going to be an interesting offseason, to say the least. I feel like this is one in the last couple of years where I'm looking forward to seeing what moves are going to be made, because it can really be very impactful to the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just one question to end the show: which division do you think next year is going to be the hardest?
Oh, come on now. That's a crapshoot. I'm going to say the NFC South, probably. NFC South, or, it might sound like a homer, but like I could see the AFC North If Ben sticks around, I could see them being the toughest, and I could see the NFC West being tough.
I'm taking AFC North all day. Burrow coming back.
That's what I was gonna say. And the Browns
are
going to be killing it. You have the NFC South with Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans.
To me, it depends on Carolina.
New Orleans, I think, are they the team that's like $30 million over the cap?
I don't know. That's a good question.
There's a team, I can't remember who it is. I want to say it's New Orleans, but I'm not 100%. It might be Philadelphia. Somebody's like $30 million over the cap. It's
depending on what they
crazy.
do with the Wentz, yes, for Carolina is. Or Philadelphia.
And then the NFC West with Seattle, LA, San Francisco, and Arizona. I mean, San Francisco was decimated by injury this year. If they come back healthy, you saw Seattle, you saw LA.
But 49ers are kind of like, yes, they're decimated by injuries and Corona and all that. But who's to say that they would have been better?
Oh, I think they would have been a lot
Could have
better.
been. But that's also woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Sure. But
So, whereas we know Bengals and Burrow was doing hot.
Burrow was, but the Bengals weren't.
And now that we picked up a very solid draft pick.
Oh, we did already?
Well, the order. Why not doing so hot? I feel like, and
What if they draft a quarterback?
they could. And then we can trade them for some, I don't know. All right, now we're getting into nonsense here. Folks, that wraps up this week's podcast. Brent, anything you want to add?
No. I think we. I wanted to talk about running backs a little bit, but we'll save that for later.
Yes, we'll definitely save that for later.
That's something I'm kind of excited about. Talking about fantasy, like geared towards fantasy, is really like the running backs and what's going to happen with some running back rooms.
Oh, absolutely. All right, that closes out this week. Again, just to touch base again, check out our podcast we dropped yesterday if you haven't already. Hit us up on Twitter
in the booth fantasy football. Oh, sorry.
Well, I don't know what that was, but hit us up on Twitter in the booth FF. Be on the lookout for the polls as well as content that's just always coming out. And then next week we will be recapping those polls. On that note, it's gonna be a great weekend of NFL playoffs.
Yeah, we look forward to that. 3 days of 2 days of 3 games apiece.
Let's touch base on that real quick because we didn't. I feel like this is.
Yeah, we probably should talk about that.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna toss it out there to you real quick. You just tell me winners, losers.
Jeez, oh Pete's okay.
Colts, Bills.
Bills.
Yeah, hands down, Bills smashing it. That's a lock. That's a locker there. I'm actually betting on that game.
You know, you say it's a lock, but I could see the Colts if they get up, if they're up 10 points, I could see it being really tough for the Bills.
No. And plus, they're playing in Buffalo.
That's
Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams.
I want to say Seahawks, but I want to say Rams. I think Aaron Donald gets a win.
No, Seahawks all day.
That's the kicker. Is I think that
DK.
No, Russell Wilson. I don't want to bet against Russell Wilson.
Buccaneers, Washington.
Why? I mean, Buccaneers.
Same. Ravens, Titans.
That is repeat from last year. Yeah, I think the Ravens get it this time. Lamar Jackson seemed to get back on track towards the end of the year, and I think he carries it into the playoffs.
I really hope Titans take it.
Me too. But
honestly, I don't dislike the Ravens in this because I think Lamar does. He's bounced back last week and could come out, but Derrick Henry. I just want to see him. AJ Brown, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, that's AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill. Like for all the flack that Ryan Tannehill got when he was in Miami,
right?
Man,
yeah,
he's more than made up for it.
I like his comeback story. All right, Bears, Saints.
Saints.
Yep, yeah. But then again, I just feel Bears always put up a struggle. I don't know why. Whenever I want to go against them, whenever I think, oh, this is an easy pick, they come out to play.
Yes, but I think that
and with David Montgomery hitting it hot the last couple weeks.
So like when I get into the playoffs, I look at leadership a little bit more, and the Saints' leadership, man. On defense, you have Malcolm Jenkins, who is not the best defender anymore, but his anticipation and his leadership capabilities when he's out there to put people in the right place and to make the right call, man. Yeah. And then on offense, obviously, Drew Brees.
And Alvin Kamara.
Leadership.
Yeah, you're right. Drew Brees, man, wow.
Yeah, and I wonder, so Michael, I haven't heard anything, but Michael Thomas got put on IR. I wonder if he can come back for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. And then the last game, my hardest pick, Browns versus Steelers.
Oh, that's right. I'm gonna take the Browns. I
hope they win.
I think that they can pull the upset here.
Just because I hate the Steelers that much, I would root against.
You know the thing.
Anybody.
I wouldn't hate the Steelers so much if Ben Roethlisberger was not their quarterback.
To me, it goes back to Bill Cowher. Just growing up in that era, I can't stand that.
So
guy.
That's the thing is, it was Bill Cowher then. Now it's Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I liked the Steelers back then. So do you remember? Did you play Madden growing up?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember having Madden 94 and Madden 95.
I can't remember that far back, dude. Come on now.
But I played with the Steelers a lot. My favorite player was Barry Foster, and I would take that guy, and I would run off tackle like every play, and just fucking.
And Hines Ward. Didn't like Hines Ward.
I didn't
the
like
bus.
him. Yep. Nah, I liked the bus. He was all right. I didn't like the bus because he kind of took Barry Foster's spot. But,
I didn't like the bus because he was so damn good.
Yeah, he was, and he was a big motherfucker.
Well, you know what's crazy? As much as I hate to, I like Chase Claypool. I like James Conner.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like they always have one player that you just hate.
Yeah.
Back then, I liked Cordell Stewart.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I was too young. I wasn't that into footballs and the wrestling at that time.
Gotcha.
So I don't really. Yeah. But I remember liking Cordell Stewart. I can't remember much about
him.
And
on defense, they had Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green. I love those two dudes. Those dudes were killers.
I guess kind of like growing up, you always hear about the Iron Curtain, and I hate dominant teams. So I always like
Steel Curtain.
What'd I say?
Iron Curtain.
I was thinking Russia. Steel what? No.
The Steel Curtain.
Steel Curtain. Iron Curtain. Steel. Anyways, I always want the underdog to win because I always hated seeing dominant teams.
Yeah.
I like the Patriots.
I understand that.
Yankees.
Yeah, same. I'm always I'm a big underdog guy.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like Barry Foster because everybody talked about Emmitt Smith back then. Fuck Emmitt Smith. Barry Foster's.
Not so I like Emmitt Smith though.
See, no. Yeah. That's why I like for basketball. My favorite player was Sean Kemp.
Hey, Sean Kemp though. Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah.
I like Sean Kemp. Yeah. All right, folks. That wraps up this week's In the Booth podcast for the second time because we went on this tangent here.
Mm-hmm.
But again, follow us online In the Booth FF, Twitter, Instagram. My name is Juan. Brent is staring at me in the eyes. Just gave me a wink. That ends this week's podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, share it with your friends, your fantasy football colleagues, your fantasy football teammates, and the guy who's probably ended up in last in your league. He needs it the most. All right, we out.
That means you're definitely listening, right, Juan?
Absolutely, I'm listening.